In Iran, the protests continue. In the city of Karaj, this video, verified by the BBC, shows female students forcing a pro-regime education official fleeing. They shout to him, "Shame on you." As we know, this is in response to the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who was taken into police custody for showing a small strand of hair. Moments after, when she was in the police station, she collapsed, fell into a coma, and died. Many have pointed to the brutalizing history of the morality police.
These are the videos Iran doesn't want you to see. Police firing in the streets, women cutting their hair, burning hijabs in rage, students' demonstrations. People have taken to the streets across Iran, angry at the government after a woman died while in police custody.
As we reported last week, the Iran national team covered up their country's emblem in support of the revolution currently taking place in the country. Now, they are expecting repercussions from the country because they spoke out. And this all comes as the Qatar World Cup is in 6 weeks. This man, Ali Daei, bagged 109 goals for the Iran national team, a record until some guy named Cristiano Ronaldo broke it last year. Because he supports the protest and posted this, which translates in part to solve the problems of the Iranian people rather than using repression, violence, and arrests. Well, the government did the following. They confiscated his passport. He's being held in the country because he opposes the brutal regime's antics. Ali Karimi, a legend in Iran who played for the international team, supports the protest as well. In effect, members of parliament called for the seizure of Karimi's assets in Iran. One politician, Hamid Rasai, compared the athlete to exiled Turkish star Hakan Şükür, whose belongings were confiscated on charges of supporting the failed 2015 coup in Turkey, demanding the same for Karimi. Shortly afterwards, a video was published on social networks showing Karimi's house in Tehran being confiscated by the judiciary. However, the judiciary later denied that the former player's house had been confiscated. It should be noted, the regime also denied the allegations against Mahsa Amini. And it should be noted as well that because Karimi spoke out, the regime has chosen to tear down his statue. Of note, security services have tried to restrict public access to social media and even the internet itself. Since their efforts have been unsuccessful, the authorities have turned to trying to silence the celebrities at source, warning them they will take action against them. Authorities have also branded celebrities into two respective categories, and they are these two: disgraceful or dignified. For example, this Iranian international, Mehdi Tarabi, wore underneath his shirt this message, which reads, "The only way to save the country is to obey the leader." There also is this man, Mehdi Taremi, who plays for FC Porto. Per Iran Wire, Taremi, 30, sends love letters to the supreme leader over his Instagram account. Then there is Sardar Azmoun, coined the Iranian Messi. Writing on his social media account, the 27-year-old forward said, "Because of national team regulations, we could not say anything until the training was finished." He indicated that his public stance in opposition to the government could cost him a place at the World Cup, but he says the loss of a professional goal would be for a good cause. Quote, quote, that is worth sacrificing for one strand of Iranian women's hair. Shame on you who kill people so easily. Long live Iranian women. After speaking out, many were skeptical that Azmoun would be allowed to represent Iran on the pitch, so it was a surprise when he played for Iran in an international friendly against Senegal, coming on as a sub and heading home the equalizing goal. Notably, he did not celebrate. In the country, some other very well-known names have also faced punishment. Hossein Mahini, a former player for the Tehran team Persepolis, was arrested last week and has been in custody since. He was arrested for encouraging mass protests, according to state media. Mahini has voiced solidarity and support for the protesters through his social media accounts. On the national team front, Persepolis players who all entered the field with black wristbands were called to the IRGC intelligence department on Monday to explain themselves in a bid to quash players' protests on the pitch. Matches during the 7th week of Iran's Premier League will be held without spectators. One former wrestler, Sardar Pashai, the executive manager of the United for Navid campaign, told CNN he was forced to flee Iran to the States in 2008. Pashai believes that the mood in the national football squad is split between pro-regime players who want to play in Qatar and others who can no longer comfortably play under the flag of a regime which has so ruthlessly oppressed its own people. Many people do not consider this team as their national team, Sardar explained. They consider it to be the Islamic Republic team. It represents the government, not the people. And a lot of athletes think the same. He added that players who are sympathetic to the regime are trying to argue that sport and politics should be kept at arm's length. But Sardar rebukes that sentiment, saying, "We know that in Iran, everything is political." Of note, many players on the Iran national team on social media have changed their avatars, and they have changed it to black backgrounds in support of the protests. Famous athletes in the country, including handball player Sajjad Esteki, the women's rugby captain Fareshte Sarani, the fencer Majtaba Abedini, Shormasti, and Taekwondo's Masa Sadehi have all quit their national teams in protest. As of this clip, the protests have entered their 3rd week.
And anti-government protests in Iran are now spreading to universities across the country. The nonprofit Iran Human Rights reports that at least 133 people have been killed over the past 3 weeks as protesters clash with security forces in several cities. Now students there are calling for a general strike at college campuses after a violent crackdown at one of the nation's most prominent universities.